is Valley News Live at 4.
We're following a developing story for you today out of Crookston. That's where a death investigation is underway involving a 16-year-old girl. Police say the girl was found unconscious this morning in the 400 block of Summit Avenue. The girl was pronounced dead shortly after officials got to her. They say the investigation is open and active, but it appears to be an isolated incident and not a safety concern. Her body has been taken to UND for an autopsy. Crookston Superintendent Jeremy Olson confirmed the 16-year-old girl was a student at Crookston High School. He says, in part, "We are extremely saddened by this loss and have taken steps to support our student body." He says grief counseling and mental health professional support are available on a continual basis to support Crookston students and families. Crime scene tape surrounds the family home of a Florida man whose fiance's body was discovered in Wyoming yesterday. 23-year-old Brian Laundrie is a person of interest in Gabby Petito's death. He's now missing, so police and the FBI are talking to his parents. Jerica Duncan is outside the home in Northport, Florida.
Law enforcement towed Brian Laundrie's Mustang away from the family home in Florida this afternoon. This morning, CBS News cameras captured his father getting something from the car shortly before at least a dozen police officers and FBI agents raided the house. At one point, investigators escorted the 23-year-old's parents outside to an unmarked vehicle. Then they went back inside. Over the weekend, Laundrie's parents told police they had not seen their son since Tuesday and suspected he was in a nearby wilderness area.
Do you think they're telling the truth?
I think at this point anything's on the table.
More than 50 law enforcement officials scoured the 24,000-acre preserve, but by this morning had exhausted their search. Authorities want to talk to Laundrie about his fiancée, Gabby Petito. Officials say they believe they found her body near Grand Teton National Park.
The cause of death has not been determined at this time.
Gabby Petito never goes outside.
Petito disappeared while on a cross-country trip with Laundrie.
We are right outside Capitol Reef right now.
According to police, Laundrie was alone when he returned to his parents' home September 1st.
He was back here in this community for 10 days before she was reported missing. It's a lot of time for somebody to kind of get their act together. We certainly think Brian has some explaining to do.
Petito's family is asking for time to grieve. Her father posted on social media a picture of Gabby and this message: "She touched the world." Jerica Duncan, CBS News, Northport, Florida.
An autopsy is scheduled for tomorrow. Many of us have been getting rain for the better part of today. Hutch joins us now with a look at when it may move out. Hutch?
Well, we're starting to see some blue skies as we take a look at our Home of Economy camera in the Devil's Lake area right now. So it is exiting from west to east, but notice there's a fair amount of shower activity continuing right now in the Red River Valley. And you can expect these showers to continue through the drive time for many of us, even beyond that. But we are starting to see some improvement to sky conditions for our westernmost counties, where you see the dark greens and even the yellows down here near Lidgerwood, heading south into portions of Marshall County, Minnesota, South Dakota rather. That is where we do have some more heavy showers tonight. We're going to pick up a few more hundredths of an inch and in places maybe up to a tenth. Temperatures very chilly tonight. The warmest weather out to the west, where we're just now getting back to 70 degrees in Bismarck. We won't get there here in Fargo tonight. We're going to be steady Eddie for the next few hours, Stacy, as we will see cooling conditions fairly quickly tonight with the calming of the winds and the clearing of the skies. Things we're watching overnight are going to be patchy fog and how low the thermometers go in our western counties. I'll detail you on all of that, and we'll have a look ahead at the rest of your work week forecast, which is a lot less soggy. That's your hint.
All right, thanks, Hutch.
You bet.
Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas traveled to South Texas today, where the U.S. has launched a mass expulsion of mostly Haitian migrants. Natalie Brand reports on the latest crisis at the southern border.
Facing extreme heat and food shortages, migrants crossed the Rio Grande between Mexico and the United States Monday to get supplies. At one point, around 12,000 migrants set up camp near the border crossing in Del Rio, Texas, most of them from Haiti. This man says he's afraid to return to his home country, saying there's no safety and no work, referencing the recent assassination of Haiti's president. Many of the people here had fled Haiti after the 2010 earthquake and settled in Central and South America before making their way north.
It is tragic and it is heartbreaking.
Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas traveled to southern Texas Monday, where the U.S. has begun mass deportations. On Sunday, more than 300 Haitians, including families, were flown back.
We have reiterated that our borders are not open and people should not make the dangerous journey.
DHS is planning more flights this week, but officials on the ground say they want the federal government to do more.
It takes too long to process an asylum claim. You know, the system has been broke for 40, 50 years. It's used as a political football, you know, from one agenda to the next.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott asked the Biden administration for an emergency declaration as a result of the situation at the border. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, the White House.
The Department of Homeland Security says it sent about 600 agents and officers to the area, and more will be sent if needed. Essentia Health has updated its visitor policy due to an increase in cases of COVID-19. They say that 2 adults per patient will be allowed and only the same 2 people per day. Patients with known or suspected COVID-19 will not be allowed to have any visitors unless they're pediatric or OB patients or in an end-of-life situation. Visiting hours vary by department. More details can be found on our website, valleynewslive.com. Twitter said today it'll pay more than $800 million to settle a consolidated class action lawsuit alleging the company misled investors about how much its user base was growing and how much users interacted with its platform. The San Francisco company said the proposed settlement, which must still be signed off by a judge, resolves all claims against it without Twitter admitting any wrongdoing. The original lawsuit, filed in 2016 by Twitter investor Doris Shenwick, claimed Twitter executives knowingly made inaccurate public statements regarding these metrics and failed to disclose internal information about them, resulting in an inflated share price that fell when the truth about user engagement became known. The company said it plans to use cash on hand to pay the settlement in the 4th quarter of 2021. Phase 3 continues for the North Cheyenne Street Urban Reconstruction Project. The city of West Fargo says crews have made progress with installing signs and concrete flat work. So far in Phase 3, the city has completed the water main installation, began work on the storm sewer installation, and prepped fabric and gravel for paving. Drivers are asked to keep in mind that Cheyenne Street from 2nd Avenue West to Main Avenue West will be closed during this phase. Traffic will detour to 1st and Morrison Street for local access and 9th Street East for through traffic between Main Avenue and 13th Avenue. Heads up for drivers along I-94 and Highway 10. Starting today, 1 lane in each direction will be closed through this Thursday as crews work to complete bridge inspections in Moorhead. Today, crews are working on westbound I-94 at the Red River bridges and will switch to the eastbound side tomorrow. On Wednesday, crews will inspect the Veterans Memorial Bridge on Highway 10 and Main Avenue. Talk about following in your parents' footsteps. One North Dakota 6-year-old is just learning how to read, but now Carter Pendergast has already written and published his first book. Carter, with the help of his mom, wrote I'm a Spinosaurus, bigger than a T-Rex, together. It's a combination of Carter's 2 favorite things, dinosaurs and books.
My mom, she had her own books, and I thought, why not write my own book?
One day we were just driving and he said, Mom, can I write a book like you someday? And I said, well, what would you write about? And he said, well, I'd write about my favorite dinosaur, Spinosaurus.
You can purchase Carter's books in a few local stores, including Ferguson Books and North Dakota Embroidery. Some travel changes are coming for those wanting to fly internationally. Those details still to come on Valley News Live at 4.
And we just have some healthy rainfall estimates. Notice the aerial coverage from Ada right up through northern parts of Beltrami County. That's right where we have exceptional drought. Some significant rainfall there. That should help the situation. Drier weather on the way. I'll have all those details, what you can expect in your forecast next.